Hello and good morning out there, Booktube. My name is Margaret Pinard, and welcome to my channel. I am a historical fiction and fantasy author and an eclectic reader. And happy Friday! Wow, long week. I just wanted to start off by saying tis the season. Tis the season of overwhelm. So if you are feeling overwhelmed by all the inputs and all the tasks and all the changes and all the news, you're not alone. And I was just going to take a minute at the beginning of this live stream to say what I'm doing and what I'm hoping will turn the tide. Um, as you may know, I had a lot of stuff going on this summer, both professional and personal. And it's over. And then I went on a little road trip and came back, and it's over, but this backwash or undertow is still exerting its influence on my temperament, my composition. So I'm trying to get things, as they call it, squared away, which is an interesting term. And throughout this time, I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about, what my schedule on Booktube is going to be. And I had this time for a fall curriculum talk. So right before I went on the vacation, I went up to Vancouver, Canada. I jotted down some ideas because I saw all these people doing this fall curriculum trend on Booktube. And then when I looked, it was on Book Talk as well. And I thought, what would I do? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. The first approach that I had, and then the second approach, which I think is going to work better. But first, we're just going to check in with the Overwhelm desk and say hello to the folks that are in the chat. So best wishes for health and recovery to my friend Ava. She says, hey, from post-surgery recovery. Things aren't always easy, but I'm trying to be more normal. So here I am, though I may bail at any moment. And I said, totally understandable. And she's still in the hospital. So sending good thoughts, healing thoughts, and energy and patience and tolerance your way today as you navigate that. Jocelyn is here. Jocelyn Carter. Yep, same thing. Good energy. Hi, Greg from Ghost Readers in the Sky. Yes, happy Friday. Okay, so the overwhelm check-in. I boiled it down to two really simple things, which was inputs and outputs, right? My little space here, and I made three little lists. So I like little scraps of paper because I don't feel guilty about recycling them. And that is how I organize a lot of my thoughts. So one of the things is that I'm constantly building up things to get out of this space. For example, I've got a bag of trash to get out. I've got recycling. I've got a package for the post office. I've got a non-assembled bag to go to the thrift store. I've got a pile to go to scrap, which is the art supply recycle. And then I've got 4 jam jars to go down and give back to the farmer so that I can get a discount on the next jar of jam. So that's just piled up in the hallway, right? This is all the stuff that needs to go out. And I feel like kind of if you've heard of the mental load that people have as homeowners or, people who are managing a situation, I'm constantly trying to remember all these things at once. So I just wrote it down so I don't have to think about it, and they'll all get done after this thing. So out, those are my outputs list. And then I have in. What's my inputs list? My inputs list is another thing that sort of hangs on my head, in the back of my head, trying to think, where am I going to go get this? When are those stores open? Should I walk? No, I can't carry anything. No, I'll have to take the car. What can I do to make the most efficient round trip for the car? All these calculations, mental load, right? And so my overwhelm stems from these small tasks and constantly cycling on them. Like your computer thinks it just keeps having to solve the same problems, and it keeps clicking through. Nope, can't do that yet. Nope, can't do that yet, and drives itself crazy. That's me. So I wrote it down on a list, looking for a few things to adjust to the new floors and the new shelves. and help me operate. So that's my second little list. And my third little list is because I realized that I had not responded to emails in like 3.5 weeks when all this was getting done, and I was just bare bones crew up here. So I've got a list, and I'm going down through, like, I've gotten 3.5 weeks back to emails that I should have responded to. So here's that big sigh and apology to anyone who was looking for a response from me. I'll be right there. I'm going to devote some time to it, and just keep working my way back. And it's part of, well, actually, no, emails are not part of the curriculum, but you'll see I've got some systems set up to become part of my fall curriculum. So, what do we even mean by a curriculum? I haven't seen people cover the etymological background of this word. Now, when I see curriculum, it ends in a um, so I'm like, it's definitely Latin, right? But to me, the first word that I think is the similar is curricle. Curricle. Anyone know what a curricle is? That is why you have me here, because I'm going to share with you my little research tasks. So, first of all, I went to Wikipedia. Here's the definition on Wikipedia. The word curriculum began as a Latin word, hooray, which means a race or the course of a race. The word is from a modern Latin transferred use of classical Latin curriculum, a running course or career. And this was first used in an educational context in the Professio Regia, a work by a University of Paris professor, published posthumously in 1576. So that's a little weird, but we're just going to we're going to skate right over that. And then it subsequently appears in University of Leiden records in 1582. Interestingly, the word's origins appear closely linked to the Calvinist desire to bring greater order to education. And right now we're going to praise for that sentence. Yes, what we want is greater order and systems so we don't keep solving the same problem. And then the last little bit here I highlighted, by the 17th century, the University of Glasgow also referred to its course of study as a curriculum, producing the first known use of the term in English in 1633. Okay, so here's our etymological backstory, right? Curriculum is the way you run around in a race course. And then just for fun, here is a link to an author friend's blog where she describes the different transports and carriages available in Regency, England, because that's where she writes her historical romances. That's Vanessa Riley. And she says, curricle, this is a two-wheeled open carriage pulled by two horses. The vehicle is typically controlled by our hero, not a groom, though the hero could have a groom drive. These vehicles are built for speed, but the speeds were no more than 5 to 10 miles per hour. So there you have your historical tidbit and a fun little author research bonus there. And then finally, the piece I was going to bring in is the education piece, the modern piece. And so this is just something on a state website where I was looking up curriculum development because I'm pretty familiar with how technical that can get. So to give you the basics, and hopefully we dropped everyone who is here just for the fall cozy curriculum trend content, because we're done with that. A curriculum is a structured document that delineates the philosophy, goals, objectives, learning experiences, instructional resources, and assessments that comprise a specific educational program. Additionally, it represents an articulation of what students should know and be able to do, and supports teachers in knowing how to achieve those goals. And if you want to get really philosophical about it, you can say, what are the explicit outcomes? What are the implicit outcomes? Blah, 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 right? So if you're a teacher, you're very familiar with this stuff. But if you haven't trained in any sort of teaching, then curriculum might just be a jargony word that you've heard teachers use. So just wanted to give people a little background. It's both Latin and fun and has to do with horses. And we're going to use it today for the trend about self-learning and discovery. So we'll dive into that. Jocelyn says, life be life and nothing to beat yourself over. Yeah. Jocelyn says, don't know what a curriculum is, but it's an interesting sounding word. I'll have to add it to my list of cool sounding words. Well, hopefully that just helped because I gave a little reference tidbit guide there. And then we have a Swank. Hello, with the fun holidays they like to contribute. World Equal Pay Day, Shamu the Whale Day, Pancakes Day, and T.S. Eliot's birthday. Thank you, thank you. Anita, hello. A.F. Stewart, one of the people who has an email owed to them, who I just went back and put on my list. So thank you, Anita, for your patience. Jocelyn says jargony, another cool sounding word to add to my list. Excellent. All right. So I'm going to X out of all those so that I don't take up as much memory space. And we'll kick off my experience of building a fall curriculum. So, as I said, I have been in a bit of overwhelm, and this is partly because of all the changes, partly because of the in and out and email needs, but are also because of the whole buildup of the summer, agitation August, and what I call the backwash or the undertow, and just feeling pretty like rootless right now because I don't have any forward goals, right? And so I thought this would be really useful because I have lots of parts of goals. I can cobble something together and make it run, right? Well, curriculum is supposed to be a little bit more intentional than that. So I present to you the work of several different works last night. There we go. Fall curriculum. Ta-da! In the big red book. So, like a good curriculum, we've got state requirements, we've got local needs, we've got individual evaluation. What is an IEP? Elaine would be able to tell me. Individual programs. We've got school-wide statutes. We've got all these competing demands on what should be met in our curriculum. For example, I've got a sustainable productivity plan and goals that I did with Melissa Ike, and that is contributing to my processing of what should be on my curriculum. I've got the first thing that I thought of down here early in September, which we'll get to shortly. And then last night when I went to actually brainstorm the details, we've got where my brain is right now. So it's a different page. I did this so that I could flip back and forth. Isn't that convenient? Yes. So with all of those, I smushed together the things that I'm going to concentrate on October, November, December, January. So I'm giving myself 4 months, which to me is about a semester. We talk about it like it's going to be the beginning of school plus the finals in January. Sometimes I had finals in January, sometimes I had them in December. So, and if you're wondering, that little brief burst, it's la rentrée. That is just the French phrase for back to school. So with la rentrée, you've got school supplies, you've got parent-teacher conferences, you've got new students to meet, you've got a pep rally probably, and then you got to plan for homework and tests and a report card. So I'm going to try to incorporate all these and all these elements into something to show you today. And then hopefully something to update you on as I go. I'm going to say that this is not going to be in a lot of videos. This is going to be a behind the scenes endeavor, because I don't think explaining what's going on while it's going on is a skill that I can do easily. I think that often when I try to do that, I ruin the forward progress of the activity underway. And so we're not going to do that here. We're not going to try to hamstring ourselves in that way. But I will explain what I'm forward projecting and planning to do. So the first attempt, a couple weeks ago when I heard about the trend and I thought about it, I thought, oh, I'm going to try to see if I can build a curriculum video around the books that I already have for September, October reading. What is on my pile of possibilities? So I had a September and October pile of possibilities that included some political, economic, sociology, including a buddy read I have scheduled with Devin Gambrell Clark, which was the Revolt of the Elites by Christopher Lash. I wanted to read this. I showed it on a video months ago, and Devin said, "Oh my gosh, I read that in college and I want to reread it." And I was like, "What?" Okay, let's do this. So we recently have been talking over DMs, and I am on chapter 5, just starting chapter 5, and I think she's on 3-ish. And so we're going to be sort of leapfrogging each other. But yeah, excited about the buddy read. And I thought I can definitely work political economics into the mix somehow. I saw that we had Hispanic Heritage Month coming up, middle of September to the middle of October. And I had this book, which is from the library that I had put on hold a long time ago. It's Siri and the Amaru by Natalia Hernandez. And she was someone who I heard about through Booktube. And it's a Peruvian folklore-inspired fantasy with like dragons. And it seemed really cool. So I had this on my list for a fun time when I wanted to read a fun book. So this is a possibility for September, October. And I figured I might be able to work it into a curriculum, not really knowing much about the story. And then we had a fun one that was just for fun. It's a modern book. It's Elizabeth Bowen's The Last September, because it's September, right? So those are my not very serious choices. How can I work them into something, right? And then I had ones that I wanted to start because I knew I should, right? This is Practicing New Worlds, Abolition and Emergent Strategies. This is a series called Emergent Strategies, and this is an edition edited by Andrea J. Ritchie. So I did start this one before I left, but it has a very long introduction, as I was saying earlier. So I still haven't gotten through it, even though I'm page 19. And I wanted to incorporate this. So I had political, economic stuff, and this is going to be like activism and power analysis stuff. So that was really important to get going. And then what else did I have? I had other fun things. Like I was reading Jane and Prudence. I was reading Gareth Brown. I was reading Robin Wall Kimmerer, and then maybe the books that I ordered from Green Feather, right? So I was trying to see if there was something in that, but you can't really cobble together a curriculum. The whole point is to be intentional. So I talked about some of the ideas with a friend, and then I was like, let's let it sit. Let's see what filters down to the bottom. And I'm glad I did that, because when I came back, this is what popped up instead. So this is my like ongoing don't forget board. This is one of many, right? I have this, which is ongoing don't forget. It's kind of a mess. I need to make a better system. But when I heard of the personal curriculum trend, I jotted some things down that I went, oh, what about turning one of the things that I'm constantly thinking about into an intentional project or class? So second time going back, it's a little bit better engineered. And I have 3 classes that I'm going to sort of describe and why. And that's gonna be here on this, which I wrote last night. So the first one is going to be about photos. It's a self-discovery, but it's also a make life easier for yourself, because that's what I'm feeling I need right now. And the problem is I take lots of photos, lots of nature photos, lots of documenting photos, right? Things not going right, things that need to be fixed, things I want to remember how they were at one point in time. But when I upload them, I don't label them. And so it's just a big pile of anonymous tips, if you will. So I get overwhelmed when I upload 700 pictures at once, and I don't have time to go through and label all of them when I do that. So I needed something that would be bigger than just homework, right? I can assign myself, sit down and do this 30 minutes a day, and the rebel in me is going to go, hell no, I'm just going to avoid that. I'm just gonna wriggle out of that like a worm off of a hook. No, I'm not. I don't like being told what to do, even if it's me. So, what's bigger? What's more intentional? What is not just a little treat for doing something that you're supposed to do, but remind me why this is important. Reconnect with a why. So that's one of the things that I put down. One is turn down the noise. One is reconnect with a why. And those are the two big themes that I want for the curriculum this fall and winter. So the why for developing a photo system is that I do love taking photos. I'm documenting things that might be useful later or might not, but I'm also just appreciating beauty. And I don't see myself not continuing those. So I want to be able to access them rather than have them go into a black hole. So that is the why. And that's something I want to reconnect with and remind myself, like, this is why it's worth doing. Just do it. So this is part of it. So what I'm going to do to make that a little bit more engineered is start with stats, right? How many photos do I have on my laptop and what are the dates? Because some of these go back to 2009, the same laptop photo file, I guess, program. I did just have a big mess up because of an update and it kept shorting out. And so I have a bunch of duplicates from the last load, but it's less than 700. So I just need to eliminate the duplicates from the last upload fiasco. That's like the prep. That's like the summer reading for this course. And then I've got experiment to establish upload and backup regimen. I've tried like every month uploading photos and then backing up the computer. So I have sort of a rhythm to it, but it's not often enough. And I don't label at that time. So I need to figure out what's the rhythm, what is the small enough chunk, etc. That works for me. So that's an experiment. Make monthly blog posts share for free members part of the regimen, and that would connect with my why. So if you're a free member on Patreon or above, any of the paying members, you have access to member posts. And I did a few photo posts in the early summer, just like 5 best, 10 best for the month or whatever. And I think if I keep going with that, it will be less hard to choose the 5 best, the 10 best. And sharing, hopefully, will help me connect with people with photos that I have that are beautiful, that represent things that I care about. And it won't feel like it's just going into a void, either in the photo library or on the blog. I love hearing from people on the blog, whether it's a like of a post or a comment on the post. And it doesn't happen very often. So that's why I think if I did it more regularly, perhaps people would be more attuned, ready to comment or say something. So hopefully we're going to put that in the mix. I've got a couple bonuses here for extra credit. That would be restart the old photos on cards and send. So one of the things I have taking up a whole drawer in my secretary desk is old photos and card making materials. So I have greeting cards that are just like fancy paper and envelopes that they fit. And I have lots of photos that I can cut up, and I've got scraps of foil and scraps of greeting cards and lots of materials because I like to do collaging, or I did. And so that would be fun if I could restart doing that, which means potentially if I got my photo library under control, I could print some of those pictures and then put them on cards and send them to people, maybe even for Christmas. So that's a little ambitious, but that is like, wouldn't that be cool? Kind of the bonus, the extra credit. The other bonus is, the other bonus is printing them out for Christmas cards. Okay. And then end result. So you usually have to have the skill the student will be able to skill the student will be able to do. Let's just say do. Keep it easy. End result. Minimize decisions at each point of the process so that I can have a cleaned up and tagged archive of photos and be able to share snippets either through the blog or through the mail regularly. So I don't know that I'm gonna get through like the 30,000 plus photos by January, but I at least want a process that minimizes the decisions I have to make. So when do I upload? Is it gonna give me problems like the last one did? Um, when do I back up? When do I label? How long does it take? Um, and yeah, just sort of getting back into a flow with that so that it's actually useful to me. So that would be great. That would be great. So that's my first class. It's just photos, curating digital photos. Who knew? Who knew that could be a class in 2025? Hi, Gwenna. Thanks for stopping in. All right, second class. Plants. Plants. So, you may have heard me talk about wanting to know more about plants and get more comfortable with nature and plant ID walks and herbalism and survival food and foraging. Those are all topics that have come up, right? So, the curriculum of it all is going to help pin me down to say, well, what's the outcome? You can't just read books about plants and have that be a thing. You need to like have some action, right? Okay, so this is what I did. Advance on useful skills, which is again reconnecting with a why. There's two whys to this actually. One is making things that are useful and preclude the need for outside medicines or preserves or products, etc. Right? Herbalism, make your own stuff. And second, survival. So if you didn't want to support a global monopoly, or if you had to support yourself on getting a little better, a little higher up on the rung of the ladder of self-reliance, like nowhere near self-reliance, but just getting to know a few skills that maybe could help you or your tribe in the event of an apocalypse. So the two prongs of the why with plants are herbalism and survival. Food, medicine, enjoyment. There's lots of reasons to know what plants are, what they do, and how you can use them safely. So that has been on my list for quite a while. I follow a bunch of people on Instagram who are plant people and TikTok who are plant people, and that's part of it, but I need more follow through, hence this curriculum idea. And we have a Dee. Hello, Bronco reading. And Mojo, hello. I miss having a garden. Yeah. I'm not there yet either. All I have are planters with club moss and one that just started growing parsley. So fingers crossed, I will have parsley to harvest, but I really need to get better about that on my patio, which likes to kill plants. All right, so that's the whys, and that is the basic idea. Materials, and here's where I go through all the books that I have. So I've got 7 books. I've got 4 that I designated as like info guides for nature, for identification, for learning, for identifying. That's the same thing. And then 7 that I identified as memoirs or connecting with plants. So my natural navigator, my edible wild plants, Cascadia field guide, and secrets of the oak woodlands. Those are good guides for either Cascadia and the Pacific Northwest environment stuff, or California and the oak woodlands stuff, and getting to know the plants in both places, I think would be really useful. So I've got books on those 4. And then the memoirs include Field Guide to Climate Anxiety, Climate Courage, A Darker Wilderness, Theory of Water, Fresh Banana Leaves, The Songs of Trees, The Wave Watcher's Companion. And these include Black wilderness authors and indigenous plant authors. Not plant authors, indigenous authors with biological experience. You know what I mean? Anyway, so a diverse range of people's memoirs to get me thinking about different ways of thinking of interacting with plants. So I think that would be good. And then assignments. I've got assignments too. So match the leaves with the names of the Ogham tree alphabet. So has anyone heard of the Ogham alphabet? Ogham. It actually should be OGHAM. It's an alphabet that the Celts used. Maybe its beginnings are shrouded in mystery, but it kind of looks like runes or like a dwarvish alphabet from Tolkien. But it's a very simplified alphabet of the sounds in Irish, in the Celtic language store. And there's 20, and each of the letters, the 20 letters in the alphabet, starts with a different sound, obviously a, b, se, like ours. And the symbol for that letter is whatever tree fundamental to the culture starts with that sound. So starts with birch, and I don't know after that. So if I knew the alphabet, that would be a good start. But there's 20, and I figure all of those I can find, and I should be able to identify birch, alder, rowan. I know those are in the first few. And so that would be a big accomplishment, like having a little library of the leaves and having the ability to say, this is this. Like, baby steps, folks, right? So Ogham alphabet is 1, and then I said second unit is match leaves for 410 additional California native plants. So oaks would be in there. Manzanita maybe would be in there, since I've got manzanita decorations from California here. Other things like that. And then third unit is 10 additional Oregon or Pacific Northwest native plants. So basically getting a little more specific. I'm going to start with Celtic, like my roots, my probably everywhere in the world about now, and then go a little bit more niche for Oregon and Canada. Sorry, Oregon and California plants and identification. So those are the 3 units for plants. And then the last assignment I had was make a product from one of the plants to consume or use, like a jam or a salve or a tea, etc., and share the process. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a vlog or something like publicly sharing, but just like journaling about it, because part of the thing of interacting with plants is groundedness, mindfulness, feeling less driven by the cycles of media and addictive purchasing, right? So plants are your way to disconnect with that. And so sharing the process of making a product from plants is kind of a call to reflect on it and get to the core of like what's drawing me into this, rather than just the curriculum prompt. And maybe we'll even do more than one, but the one is all I'm putting in there because I want to be practical and achievable. I want it to be SMART goal for the curriculum. Oh, there we go. Anita says, I know Occam. It pops up in Celtic research. Yes. And I love that it's tree/plant related. There's some that are not really plants, like a vine or a fern. But yeah, yay. Very cool. And so that's the plant class, and those are my assignments. And then the last one, activism, bravery. So this is sort of where I'm bringing in the political economic kind of books that I'm reading and the energy from Agitation August. So this module is gonna be named in honor of my friend Tiffany, TL Russ Lifestyle, and it's just do the dang thing, right? So I've been reading a lot of these books, I've been having a lot of these conversations, and I really want to like do a thing. And like I have done some things, but I feel like it's definitely not enough. So just like with the photos and the stats, I've got starting inventory, make a starting inventory. So I want to reflect, what have I done? What spurred these actions or activities? And what did I gain? So I want to give myself credit for the stuff that I've already done and have it laid down in a chart so I can say, all right, yeah, I've tried. I've made some progress. The baby steps are there. I can see them in the sand, Lord, right? And then sort of narrow these down. There's so many areas to participate in. I have a few that I'm more passionate about than others, and I want to document that as well. Which areas am I most passionate about and why? So as I said, I've got nonfiction books on a lot of different topics. A lot of them are related. So I want to get real specific about which ones do I want to act on? Which ones do I want to put my money where my mouth is? And act on. So that's the beginning, starting inventory. Materials for this one include a lot of books. I'll just reel them off. I have about 20, and I told myself to pick 10. And again, this is over 4 months, so that's not too much. Hopefully doable. Cosmopolitanism, White Rage, Notes on a Foreign Country, The People Know, The New Jim Crow, This Changes Everything, Women, Race, and Class, Chartism, The Empire of Illusion, The End of Policing, Fight Like Hell, 1619 Project, The Last Fire Season, Emergent Strategies, Who Cares Wins, White Fragility, Reconsidering Reparations, One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This, Savage Gods, and 21 Things You Didn't Know About the Indian Act. So pick 10 out of that 2021-ish. Plus, the one that I've already started will probably count because I won't finish it until October. And then the other buddy read, which I have confirmation that we're doing, but I'm not sure Tiffany has started. I sent her an email yesterday, 2 days ago, to confirm she found a copy. But Walking with the Wind is John Lewis's memoir that came out around the year 2000, maybe 99, and famous civil rights movement leader and then congressman. And this is about how power struggles form, organize, struggle, and achieve things in his personal experience. And I'm 32 pages in, and it's very, this is where I grew up. This is the normal. This is what my parents' outlooks were. And this was my irritating outlook as a child. And it's very readable. It's very memoir-y and not very political so far. So I'm looking forward to discussing this with Tiff. And so hopefully hear back from her on that. But yeah, those are the bonuses. So Walking with the Wind is a buddy read, which will finish at the end of October. And then this one, which will probably be just me finishing in October, will get me off to a good start. And this is like, it's not for this. It's a buddy read outside of this, but it could be. Wait, did I put it in here? No, I don't think I did because I'm already reading it. So those are the materials, pick 10. And then the assignments, I said do the dang thing, right? So assignment number 1 is to volunteer, show up. And the first one I have my eye on is Taking Ownership PDX. So this is a nonprofit that I can volunteer with. I've sort of got the mental gears going, but haven't decided on a day yet. They sent out a newsletter that has a bunch of dates from for the next 6 weeks. And I thought, okay, I definitely had time for one of those. So we'll do that. And yeah, if I do one, I'm working on the snowball theory of it'll get easier, right? So important to state, I want to do the inventory at the beginning because I have already done things, but then also volunteer for more things and figure out where am I most passionate and get the ball rolling there. And then the other assignment, besides to volunteer at least once, is of the 10 books that I do read, do 5 standalone in-depth book reviews on video. So when I do standalone book reviews, it's only like once every 3 months. This is a little bit more intensive, but I figure 5 over 4 months is still doable. And I can always throw them in on a Monday, which is an extra day since normally I'm streaming Wednesday, Friday. So the plan is for these to be, well, the way I'm doing Revolt of the Elites, I'm underlining a lot. I don't know if you could see this, and I'm like doing things in the corners here because I'm interacting with it a lot. And so that's how I like to go through books now that are challenging. Because I think what I told Devin is that like 90% of this I agree with, but then 10% is sort of out of left field. And I'm like, where's your evidence? And so the things that I'm thinking as I read, I will organize them, reflect on them by the end. If they've been answered, then I don't have to, go into it. But those standalone in-depth book review videos will be a good recommendation for people to read good books about activism and a good sort of memory keep for me and like my journey and what I thought about things now, which I think will be interesting. And then the last thing I had as an assignment for activism and bravery is brainstorm 2026 cause to highlight. So this year I've been doing usually about once a month a climathon TRC related video, and that's about climate action. So lots of different topics that relate to climate, but I was thinking maybe after these volunteering experiences, after these really challenging books, after this inventory, I'll look back and I'll be able to see, okay, so this is also a cause that I think is intricately related, and I want to highlight something with that once a month in 2026. So sort of pivot and do like a new treatment in the next year. So we'll have a new focus. Wouldn't that be cool? So that's my, I think, doable and, a little bit of not accountability, because I'm not doing this with anyone, but just structure. A little bit of structure, a little bit more systemical thinking approach, and very not fall cozy aesthetic. In case anyone was wondering, the thumbnail for this video is just basically, no, not basically, blatantly a template on Canva. So if you like it, you can use it on Canva. I think Canva Pro. I just changed the words, and not even all the words. I was going to do something else with it, and then I was like, no, it's fine. I just think everyone's things look the same, so I might as well just copy it because I was too tired last night. So there you go. Spend time on the things that are important, the content, the relationships, and don't stress about the things that are not, like your friggin' thumbnail, you know? So that's my like little self-learning curriculum for the fall into January. And I don't know too many in my community who are doing this trend. I know that Esther did, and she had some really great resources. So if you're curious and you want to follow something, you can check out her video. I will put it in the description after this. But yeah, and like I said, I'll be mainly doing this as a behind the scenes. You will probably see the standalone book reviews start coming out late October, November. But feel free to ask me about it if you are here watching and curious about how this rolls out. And if you have your own class or classes that you end up designing for yourself, let me know what they are. I'd be thrilled and interested to know what this inspired in other people. So that's me for the day. It is September 26th. I've got to wish my brother a happy birthday because it's his birthday on the other side of the world. But otherwise, happy Friday, everyone. And I will see you Wednesdays and Fridays, my new schedule at 10 a.m. Pacific with more bookish opinions and fun stuff to come. So thanks for watching, everybody, and good luck with your ins, your outs, and those blasted emails. All right, everyone. Have a happy weekend. I'll see you again soon.